Grace to you and peace from God our Father and our Lord and our Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. Peter must have panicked because he could not find Jesus anywhere. He had been up with Jesus the night before, watching Jesus heal countless people as they were back to the place where they were staying. And Peter saw Jesus go to sleep in that house, but then when the first light of dawn started peeking over the hills, and Peter woke up, Jesus was nowhere to be found. And no one knew where he had went. Peter must have panicked. He didn't want to lose Jesus. He didn't want to miss anything that the Son of God did or anything the Son of God said. And so Simon Peter and the rest with him formed a search party. They started to frantically search the area for this man they called the Lord. And then, of course, Peter eventually did find Jesus. Jesus was out by himself. Away from the town, away from the house, away from the people, away from just about anything. And so now, instead of being panicked, Peter probably was just confused. What was Jesus doing out here all by himself this early in the morning? What was he thinking? What was he planning? Peter certainly must have been relieved to find Jesus, but he also must have wondered why Jesus didn't tell anyone where he was going in the first place. We see from the story why Jesus didn't tell anyone in the first place. He didn't say anything to anyone because he wanted time to pray. This is how Mark tells the story. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Simon and his companions went to look for him, and when they found him, they exclaimed, "Everyone is looking for you." Jesus replied, "Let us go somewhere else, to the nearby villages, so I can preach there also. That is why I have come." So Jesus gets up early in the morning, while it's still dark, to pray. And it's not as if he went to bed early the night before. Remember that evening prior, all the townspeople are bringing him the sick and the disease and the suffering, and Jesus is healing all of them. Jesus must have been tired. Jesus had to have been exhausted. And yet Mark says that very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, went out of the house to a solitary place where he prayed. Didn't he have better things to do? Like sleep, for instance? Wouldn't you think that Jesus would need a little bit of rest for the early days ahead? Or what about find some breakfast? Don't you think he needed a little bit of strength for this grueling preaching and teaching schedule that he was keeping? If he woke up in the middle of the night, why didn't he just run through some of those topics and the subjects of conversation that he's going to preach to the people that next day in his mind? But to intentionally give up while it's still dark, go off by himself outside to pray? Didn't he have better things to do? I'm a morning person. I don't mind getting up early and starting my day as soon as possible. In fact, when I have a chance to sleep in, I usually can't. And so when I get up to get things done. I'm most productive in the morning anyway, so I don't want to churn out some work as long as my mind is sharp, my body is energized. But even though I'm a morning person, I can tell you, I've never gotten up before it was light and went out by myself specifically to pray. And why haven't I ever done that before? Because in my mind, I have better things to do. as some of those other items on my to-do list. I have sermons to write, and I have worship services to prepare. I have Bible classes to craft, and any number of reports to get done. And I have texts and emails and phone calls to send out, as well as appointments and meetings to run. Add to that all the other family obligations and the regular tasks of everyday life, and prayer is very quickly relegated to kind of a passing thought here and a fleeting moment there, maybe a couple in the morning and a few brief words at night, maybe a little bit when I read God's Word, and that obligatory petition when I eat. But to set aside a block of time, whether it's early in the morning or throughout any other part of the day, just to pray. I have better things to do. I have better things to do than to talk to my Lord. I have better things to do than to spend time with my God. I have better things to do than to put in the effort to pull out the thoughts and the attitudes and the feelings and the worries that are rumbling around in my heart and lay them at the feet of my Savior. Because it doesn't really matter in the end. Whether I spend a long time in prayer or hardly any time at all, things are going to happen like they're going to happen, and I'm going to have to deal with them no matter what. And so when my life starts to get a little bit crazy, and when my schedule starts to get a little bit hectic, and I'm struggling to keep my head above water, and I'm running ahead trying to catch up with all of the responsibilities that are flying out in front of me, prayer gets pushed to the side. Prayer is put behind my back. Because I have better things to do. I'm not coming off looking too good, am I? I'm not really painting myself in a very positive light. But I want to be open and transparent with you. I don't want to pretend that I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing all the time. I'm not proud of it, but I can't deny it either. Certainly do not want to act in this way and live my life as if I have something better to do than go to my Lord in prayer. It happens. I have undoubtedly offended my Lord every time I've neglected to go to Him in prayer when I should have. I have certainly disappointed my God every time I try to cut corners and leave Him out of the picture. I have undeniably insulted my God every time I do not take Him up on His offer to listen to me, and to help me, and to be there for me whenever I need Him. And I've been doing this for years, for decades. I've constantly treated my God as if He is not even close to the most important thing in my life, and praying to Him is just not worth my time. Now, if I'm praying to Him, I'll get to it eventually, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, maybe the next minute, but not now. Not now. I've got better things to do. I don't know how often you pray. I don't know when you pray. I don't know why you pray. I wonder, though, if you sometimes treat prayer like I treat prayer. Something that's kind of insignificant. Something that's not all that pressing. Something that's not all that urgent. That's something that's fine to do, but not now. Now you've got better things to do. What if our God had better things to do? What if the Lord determined that He had better things to do than to deal with us? What if our God decided that He had better things to do than to spend time on me, and to spend effort on me, and to care for me at all, If the Lord had better things to do, then he certainly would have never come down to this earth as a vulnerable human being surrounded by sinful people with sinful intentions. If God had better things to do, he definitely wouldn't have let himself be manhandled by his enemies and physically abused and then tortured to the utmost extreme. If God had better things to do, he absolutely wouldn't have subjected himself to the shame of lugging his own execution device up a hill and then allowing himself to be posted to a piece of wood and then letting out his final breath as a condemned criminal. If God had better things to do than to care for us, the Bible would have never been written. And Jesus, as we know him, as true God and a true human being, would exist. And hope, and joy, and peace would be nothing more than a dream. If God had better things to do, we wouldn't be here today. There'd be no point. And we wouldn't be Christians either. There'd be no such thing. And we wouldn't be going to heaven either. There'd be no chance. But we are going to heaven, aren't we? We are Christians. We are here this morning. We are gathered in God's house with our spiritual brothers and sisters because God didn't have anything better to do. Your Lord has never had anything better to do than to care for you. Isn't that kind of humbling? The Almighty Creator Lord, the one who has handcrafted the far reaches of this universe, the one who orchestrates not only the rhythms of the galaxies, but is also intimately involved with every blade of grass that grows in the farthest corners of the most distant of fields, has nothing better to do than to care for you. That's what he wants to do. That's what he likes to do. That's what he loves to do. So the Lord himself has determined he has nothing better to do than to care for you. And so when you sleep, he is right by your side, protecting you. He gets up with you in the morning. He walks next to you side by side throughout the day. And he never leaves until you sleep again. When you are hurting, he holds you tightly in his arms. When you are lost, he takes you by the hand and he leads the way. When you have fallen down, he gently picks you up and he encourages you on again. Your God looks you in the eye and he doesn't look away because he's never embarrassed of you. He's never ashamed of you. He's never disgusted with you. He just forgives you. He doesn't demand an explanation. He doesn't ask you to explain yourself for doing what you did. He doesn't let you think about it for a while until you are thoroughly chastised by his disappointment. He doesn't have a scowl on his face and glance at you with a disapproving sigh. He just forgives you. Immediately and completely and honestly and sincerely. And he doesn't treat you any different afterwards either. He loves you just the same. He loves you just as much. He loves you more than he loves anyone else in this world because you are his child through faith. And he wants to do nothing more than to love you with everything he has. Your God has decided that he has nothing better to do in this universe than to love you. And so as you continue to live this life on this earth, your Lord watches and he waits patiently, eagerly, ready to help, ready to listen, ready to be there for you whenever you need him. And he cannot contain himself when you actually talk to him. He is ecstatic when you come to him. He glories in the chance to be the one that you go to first of all for anything on your mind. Because God wants nothing but you. God longs for nothing but you. He went through a lot of pain for you after all. He spilled a lot of blood for you after all. He took on sin, and he took on death, and he took on Satan, and he took on this world, and he took on all the enemies in it, and he beat them down for you after all. He cares for you. He will do anything for you. Anything. And so God has decided that he has nothing better to do than to do everything for you. This love of the Lord, and this compassion of the Lord, and this incredible amount of grace from the Lord makes me want to pray to him even more. Why would I want to? Why would I want to go to the one who cares about me so much and has proved his passion for me in so many ways? Why would I want to go to the one who knows exactly what to do and exactly how to do it and exactly when to get it done? It would be foolish of me not to go to the Lord in prayer as often as I can. It would be completely idiotic of me to act as if I have something better to do than to pray to my Lord again and again and again. Everything else can wait. Everything else is far less important. Everything else is going to get taken care of in its own due time with the Lord's help, with the Lord's guidance, and with the Lord's plan. And so for now, there is nothing better that I can do than pray. Don't shortchange prayer. Don't ever think that it's just this little minor, insignificant thing that Christians do, but we really should be doing something a lot bigger. No. Prayer is the biggest thing you could be doing, because you are placing your entire lives in the palms of the hands of your Almighty Lord. What could be bigger than that? And the Lord wants us to pray. He asks us to pray. He commands us to pray because he knows how important it is for us in our lives here every day. And so when your schedule gets a little bit hectic, pray first. When your life is a little bit crazy, pray first. When you're trying to struggle to keep your head above water and you're running ahead to catch up with all the responsibilities that are flying out in front of you, pray first. Go to your God who has shown you his grace in so many ways. Lean on your Lord who has displayed his love to you so many times. Slow down and place everything on your mind and on your heart at the feet of your Savior who has sacrificed himself for you and so much more. He will be able to calm you down. He will be able to settle your nerves. And then he will be able to give you the strength and the energy and the confidence and the hope to face whatever it is in front of you when you open your eyes again. That doesn't mean that you have to get up early before it is light and go off by yourself to a solitary place and pray like Jesus did. He doesn't tell us to do exactly what he did all the time. But it might not be a bad idea to plan to pray. It would probably be beneficial to even schedule prayer, wouldn't it? This is my encouragement to you. This week, See if you can pray more than you ever have before. This week, see if you can pray more often, more times, for more things and more people than you ever have in the past. This week, pray to your God more than you do anything else. Or do you have better things to do?